So Wu Wei, the idea of surrender. Okay, like Bruce Lee philosophy of water. It's like water flows. It can crash, it can flow. Pour it in the pot, it becomes the pot. Put it in a lake, it becomes a lake. It's the ultimate form of surrender. But because of that, it has the ultimate power, right? I mean, what's more powerful than water? It's 60% of our bodies. We can't live without it, right? So that's mental toughness to me. And I'm glad you said that it's not, because I think when people hear mental toughness, they're like, well, your toe hurts, you gotta walk on it, because turn that pain off in your head. And it's like, not really. It could be more like, my toe hurts, let's change the relationship with hurt if it can't be fixed. You know, that, to me, that's surrender. So
most of us never learned how to train our brains, which is why most of us needlessly settle, struggle, and worse, suffer. My name is Chris Doris, and I want to make brain training mainstream. This is my series, Tough Talks, Conversations on Mental Toughness. I'm interviewing badasses from all walks of life on what mental toughness means to them and their unique approaches to strengthening their minds. Hello, friends. That's my Jim Nance impersonation. Some of you will get that. What up? Welcome back to Tough Talks, Conversations on Mental Toughness. And today's guest, his name is Billy Woodmansey, and I have a couple of nicknames for him. B-Dubs. I have another one, which I'll tell you about in a second. But I want to tell you this story, a brief story of how we met. Several years ago, better part of a decade, I decided that I wanted to get into the best shape of my life. And so I asked around. I think I just made a post on Facebook. You know, does anybody know any amazing, and I mean like amazing trainers? I'm talking like who's the best around. And I got a ton of responses, really cool. But there was someone, Billy, was recommended strongly by multiple people. And so I was going around town interviewing, like literally interviewing some trainers that had, you know, whose names came up. And I was at the time a member of LA Fitness, so I went there and just went to one of the trainers and so, but this is the number one question. This is the first question that I asked people. The trainers. I would go in and meet them, and I would say, "Yeah, hi, I'm Chris, and why are you the best in the world at what you do?" This is sort of an aggressive question, but I was really serious. Like I wanted somebody who's completely badass. I wanted someone who's totally freaking passionate about their craft, right? Who saw being a trainer as a vocation, not a fucking job, right? So. Of course, you know, these people were all just, stammering, frozen, you know. But then I got to Billy, and he was working out of a boutique, private, I don't know if boutique's the right word, but a private gym here locally called Pro Edge. It still exists here in Chandler, Arizona, and highly recommend it, by the way. And Billy has long since moved on, and I still highly recommend Pro Edge. Highly recommend it. Great people. But I got with him. Now, it was at a time of day, and I'm going to ask him to tell his version of the story. So actually, I'll just cut this short. His version is cooler than mine because he's got some details that I wasn't privy to that happened like after I left. But I asked him, and there was a few trainers standing around. There were no people working out at that moment. It was kind of a weird in-between time of day, morning, like mid-morning. And so they could hear us. And I was just asking Billy, and so I got right there. And this is like, hi, my name's Chris Doris. Nice to meet you. Yeah, a few of my friends recommend you highly. Why are you the best in the world at what you do? No hesitation. Dude started responding. He just started answering. He just started saying shit. I have no clue what he was saying. And I didn't care. I don't think I even listened. What I was paying attention to wasn't the content. It was the process. It was the fact that he had a response and did not hesitate to just, it was like I said, like, you know, where were you born? It's like, oh yeah, Clearwater, Florida. You know, what's your zip code? You know, 85. So he's just like sharing data without any there was no self-consciousness, and I'm like, that's my guy. And I told him, I said, you're hired. And I love that about him. And the other nickname that I use for Billy is I call him my EnterTrainer because he's so freaking funny. And when I work out with him, I often forget that I'm working out. Like I pay more attention and I vibe higher with the entertainment part than the training part. Because I don't particularly love going to a gym to exercise. It's not my favorite thing to do. And I'd rather get exercise through being out playing tennis or riding a bike or doing something cool, throwing frisbee, even, or just, But I love going to work out with him because it's pure entertainment, and that's important because it's not about it's not even about the training part for me. It's about the vibe part, and you know how much I love high vibes, and he brings it. So he brings a lot of levity. He's brilliant. He's always learning. He's a voracious student of life. He's very spiritual and deep. There are plenty of times where we will get into conversation in the gym, and other people will kind of just be standing around listening to our freaking conversation because it's amazing. So I'm happy to finally have him here. That's a long intro. I'm going to shut up now. Let's go find Billy. He's coming here. This is actually our first ever live Tough Talks interview. He's coming here into the captain's quarters. So I think he's here. He is here. Let's go find him. Here he is. B-Dubs, as I call him. Billy Woodmansey, everyone. Or as I love to refer to him as my EnterTrainer, right? And I told everybody in the introduction about how we met. Right, the story, the day, right, that we met at the gym. But I like your version of the story better.
It was a fantastic day.
Well, I didn't know all of what happened. I tell this version of the story that's very, impressive.
Totally.
Right? And it's very complimentary to you, and it's very, very true. But I leave out the color commentary, which I would like for you to bring.
Okay.
To talk about, it was early in the morning, right? There was only a few other people there, and there were the
Totally.
trainers, and they were like, so could you
Yes.
maybe?
So at the gym that you came to, it was Pro Edge. Yeah. We had a very active morning and a very non-active mid-morning. So our rush had just gotten done, and it was me, one other trainer named Kyle.
Mm-hmm.
Cheryl's for the Girls was there. That was his Instagram handle.
Yep.
And then I don't even think DK was there, who still owns the gym to this day.
Uh-huh.
But okay, so in comes Chris.
Yeah.
And you just came in, well, I'm sure you've already said this, but you had a series of questions. You asked, why are you the best at what you do? All this stuff. Right? And we're free flowing talking.
That was the first question I asked you.
It was.
Why are you the best in the world at what you do?
Yeah. I think I forgot my exact answer. Because
I have no idea what you said.
Because I am.
But you started to give a response, and I don't care what your response was, and that's what I said in the intro. It's that you had one.
Totally.
That there was no pause. I hired you that second in my mind.
Okay, so if that question wasn't the weirdest thing anyone's ever heard in a freaking gym before, as you were asking me these questions, I'm kind of seeing Kyle fidgeting at the desk, kind of trying to put an ear in. Yeah. And so anyway, we get done with our bit, and you walk out, and he just pops his head over the desk, and he's like, "What the fuck just happened?" And I go, "I'm not sure, but I feel like more people should do that." But it was this quasi annoyance, to be honest, because it was it was why, dude? Do you want to train or do you not? Am I not? I get it, but I don't get it. Yeah. But then we started working together, and then I more than got it and understood why. And I fully believe everybody should do that. Interview your trainer. You need a connection with them.
Well, you came very highly recommended from multiple sources, and I had actually gone out to interview a couple other trainers, and I asked them that question, and they got so awkward and stammered and, we just jibber jab. And it's the fact that you didn't hesitate that had me go, this guy really believes in how great he is. And that's what I want. If someone's going to help me transform, I don't want them to just know their shit, right? I want them to be it.
That's great, yeah.
But it was funny because afterward you told me probably a long time had passed before you told me that these guys are, who is that dick?
This is the weirdest guy,
Who's this cocky bastard walking in here with these weird questions and then just walking out in work clothes?
You totally became a gym favorite in the end, but yeah, it took a few sessions because people were like, okay, how many questions is this guy gonna ask? Or what's he gonna say? Mm-hmm. And everyone was kind of just super curious about the guy that interviewed the trainer.
But all humor aside, that really is a very important thing that we could talk about for a minute, which is so relevant to, in my mind, to mental. It's fundamental, not relevant. It's fundamental to being mentally tough is being unapologetic about occupying best in class status.
Totally. Yeah, that was, so at the time you came in, that's literally all I had. I was relatively young in the field. I mean, I'd been doing it a couple years, so I mean, I wasn't green, but I mean, in terms of, hey, fitness and nutrition, it's constantly changing, right? So to say you've mastered it after a couple years is asinine to say, from a scholarly level. I get that. But when you came in and asked that, it was just like, my instinct was like, well, fake it till you make it. You know, I kind of hate to say it that way, but it was like, step into that light and be that. And
No, I like
we had a good exchange though.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah.
But I don't hate to say it like that. Fake it till you make. I don't hate to say it like that. I don't prefer to say it like that.
All
okay?
right, better language. Yeah.
But well, maybe different language. Like, don't wait to be the best. Don't wait for evidence.
Totally.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
Right. Create the state. Don't wait. What state are we talking about here? Which is the state of best in the world. I'm the best in the world at what I do.
Create
and
the
I'm
state.
not
Don't
waiting.
wait.
And I'm not waiting for the world to acknowledge that in order for me to own that space.
I'm gonna switch that in my vocabulary now. I'll never say fake it till you make
You know
it
what?
again.
You're right.
It's create the state.
Yeah, it's actually not waiting.
not fake
It's
anything.
not faking it.
It's not.
It's being it. I'm not waiting for anything in the outer world to be different. I'm not waiting for more degrees, certifications, acknowledgement, money, or anything else in order to step confidently into the space of best in class.
Yeah, and actually, now that you bring that up, if you're like, it might feel like you're faking it, and to fake it till you make it is like saying, well, I need somebody to graduate me into making it, and it's like, well, whoever does that, it's like, this person empowered you. It's like, well, you empowered yourself. They might have said something inspiring, but no one can really empower you, but you, right? So that's. Yeah, create the state, don't wait.
So to explain a little bit more about the EnterTrainer term, it's
Which
like
you've made famous.
Was that my?
I think you were the first person to ever call me that.
I think I remember the day, and the reason is because I don't feel like I work out with you. I feel like I hang out with you and I laugh my ass off. Oh, and by the way, we're doing some exercise.
I love that.
Which is amazing. I love that because I don't love going to the gym. I don't love the gym, but I love laughter, right? I love entertainment, and you are fucking hilarious. you seriously, you're a comic.
Well, thank you.
And you just make everyone that I've ever known laugh, and you're like a performer. You aren't, delete that. You're not like a performer. You literally are. You did acting.
100%.
You've been an actor,
Yep.
so you are a performer.
I love it. I love entertaining. I love helping people change their lifestyle habits and stuff. But
you bring a lot of fun into it, which I find not just enjoyable for me as like someone who gets to receive that, you know, or participate in it, but as like as a scientist in the science of human peak performance. That's smart.
Right. And I didn't know what I was doing. You actually helped me kind of iron that out. I didn't really realize what I was doing. It was just kind of like you said, like I was just being, you know. And when you brought in the EnterTrainer, dude, and think about how long we had been working together.
Yeah.
For your fitness goals. Like
Yeah.
at that point, when you brought that in, I was just kind of like, well, maybe you're right. Like maybe this is pretty smart because people really, at their core, don't like going to the gym after a long day of work. So it's like, how do you change that? Well, maybe they can go to a show, right? Yeah. Like a leisure show.
And you going to work out with B-dubs is definitely qualifies as a show. So let's tell some folks a little bit about what you're up to these days. What are you doing, and why are you doing it? Why are you using your life this way right now? So
okay, that actually starts back at Rise. So I went completely out of the box comfort zone, and went from a 1099 trainer, which if you don't know what 1099 is, that's you're self-employed and you contract to other gyms. And I felt the need to tell you that as an expert. Now you know, B Wood approved. But yeah, so step out of the comfort zone. I want my own gym. It's what I thought I wanted at the time. I entered it in as a complete business novice, did so many things wrong, and it was beautiful. Wow. Because you don't know what you don't know until you're big enough to find out, you know? And I probably stepped in at an aggressive scale, but it is what it is, and it really put, I don't want to say damper. I've been mindful of my language lately. It made my life pretty adventurous because it had this domino effect because I wasn't happy. You know, it was like, this is what I thought I wanted. And I got this great gym people would kill for, and it just wasn't happy. I just got married. I was about to have a beautiful son, Jackson. He's 3 years old. Shout out to Jackson.
Wait, go back.
That's his heartbeat. It says EKG with his initials into it.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It says EK. That is actually
It's actually
his EKG with his initials.
With his initials, and I got this because where I was going with that was just through life circumstances, got a divorce, right? In that, I realized that at best I was going to be in my son's life 50% of the time. I don't think anybody is okay with that. That's a good parent, but you know, reality is what it is. So I wanted to keep him with me 100% of the time. So that explains the tattoo. Now he's always with me. So
nice.
Through the divorce, I acquire a really good business partner. He tried his best to keep the rise above, and God bless him, he did a great job, but we just decided through all the X's and O's of divorce and my time allowance there, we just thought it would be best to dissolve it. So left with a custody battle, a dissolved gym, really not much money. You know, I reach out to this guy I was doing home training with. His name was John Veer, and he happened to own Timney Triggers. You know, he's kind of became a business mentor of mine, but he was like, tell me what's wrong. I explained to him all the issues with, you know, first business partner going bad, second going good, all this. And he's like, maybe you want to come and do corporate wellness at Timney Triggers, and you can set it up. It's your thing to run. I want to do this for my employees, and I've been thinking about it. He loved the work I did with him in my EnterTraining, as you would call it. And I started doing corporate wellness and haven't looked back. Like, it's been a great opportunity. So I work about, physically, probably work about 25 hours a week. You know, I have time to be with my son. And it's just awesome. Like, I don't feel the need to have to get more clients or do anything. I could just selflessly serve Timney Triggers, and for that I have my life the way that I am. So what I'm up to lately is corporate wellness, and that sent me to the idea of having a wellness website, which I'm currently working on. It's not up.
Well, it might be by the time this
It might be
airs.
by the time it's up. It would be lifestyleathlete.com, hopefully. I might have to battle it out with some cyber bullies in case they own, what do they call the URL hoarders?
The
domain hoarders, yeah. But wellness is what I'm into now, and it's total body encompassing.
So wait, so that's different term than fitness?
Not to me. Okay, I think that, and I think that's where it's going. It's like wellness is gonna be what we know as fitness. And even things like CrossFit, that's gonna be in the wellness category, and doctors will prescribe it at some point. I'll claim that. You're welcome. Yeah, you know, they will. And I just think because half the things out there right now, what I'm learning in school at the Institute for Integrative Nutrition is mouthfuls of pills can be cured by good food and exercise and, you know, what they refer to at the school as primary food. And that is your quality of relationships, open and honest, a great spiritual practice, even if you're not, you know, real religious, just self-meditating, physical activity, because if you don't move, you don't have life. And that's just only always true. So I just see everything going there, and I want to ride the wave.
That image that you showed me before we started recording today, right?
Yeah, the plate.
That's from the what's the name of the place?
The Institute for Integrative Nutrition.
Integrative Nutrition.
Yeah, IIN.
Integrative so they're integrating different philosophies, integrating different approaches to wellness.
Absolutely.
Because the word relationships, spirituality, you know, that's. We were also talking, you know, before we started here about an experiment that I read about, or a guy whose name I don't remember. It was just like a 3-minute clip of a TEDx talk on entitled something like, everything you've ever learned about addiction is wrong.
Love that.
And what he said that towards the end of it that really just stuck for me is that the opposite of addiction is not sobriety. The opposite of addiction is connection. When I was in A-Fest a year ago, not the one I was just at, but a year ago in Sardinia.
Awesome Fest?
Awesomeness Fest.
Awesomeness Fest.
Which is an event hosted by Mind Valley. I strongly encourage everyone to look that up.
I definitely want to check that out.
And you need to go?
Yep.
You need to go.
Maybe I'll be a trainer there.
All right. So
Goldberg,
the theme, right? Yeah, Jason Goldberg. The theme, and he was the host again this year. But the theme for last year's event was longevity.
Awesome.
So that's where I learned the 10X workout.
Oh yeah,
all that stuff.
yeah.
But one of the things, I think the most profound thing that I learned through the lectures there, which isn't, by the way, the most profound thing that happens there, it's the connections, and they acknowledge that enthusiastically, that it's not their speakers, it's the connection, which is the whole point of what we're talking about right now. Which is, I learned that loneliness is more toxic than obesity and smoking.
Yeah, that's
so that comes
that's
back
insane.
It makes sense. It is insane because it's contrary to what we've been taught.
Oh, 100%.
Right? Like everyone agrees that smoking is bad for you. Everyone agrees that being obese is bad for you.
Yeah, those are like the
right, duh. But no one really. I was shocked to hear that that's actually more toxic, loneliness. So I'd love to hear what you're saying about from what you're learning through the Institute of Integrative Nutrition, that they're emphasizing things like relationship.
Yeah.
And spirituality.
And spirituality in any way.
Now let me ask you this right on the heels of that, okay? Is the whole reason that this Tough Talks series even exists, right, is because I use mental toughness as part of my brand, but I really feel like it's important for me to clarify that I use that word conveniently, but I also use it synonymously with the term enlightenment.
I love that.
Yeah, and I love that the word enlightenment has the word light in it because there's so much intelligence and lightheartedness, right? And shining the light on the unconscious. So
light and love,
mental toughness isn't just about being the tough guy. It's not just about being.
I'm actually glad you're making that distinction.
But that's part of it. I mean, that's just that's a part.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Is the resilience is like the whole Navy SEAL kind of toughness and all that.
Off.
And you got more. You got way more in the tank. You're not done. And that is an amazing part of it. And that's a part that I love of it. But it's only a part of it. Right? So I love to bring all kinds of different, unique, interesting people like you who are badasses. I have your name actually saved in my phone still as Billy Badass with Nancy.
Awesome.
So I'm very particular, right, of who I invite on the show, and I have to know that in advance that they're creating badassery in the world, but also I'm like the value I want to bring to the audience here is to have them experience a truly diverse array of interpretations of what mental toughness is. So that said, can you tell us how what does this term mental toughness mean? Now you know me so well, so not what it means to CD. What is it to you?
Great question. And to me, mental toughness is perseverance. It's well, we always talk about this, but I agree very much with it. Wu Wei. It's like mental toughness.
Slow that down.
Wu Wei.
Wu Wei. I didn't mean like literally.
Wu Wei.
Here we go. Here comes the EnterTrainer. Now I meant let's slow down the point, which is because you're rolling past some things that I think are really important to slow down.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So what do you mean by that even? Wu Wei.
Okay, so Wu Wei. The idea of surrender, okay, like Bruce Lee philosophy of water. It's like water flows. It can crash, it can flow. Pour it in the pot, it becomes the pot. Put it in a lake, it becomes a lake. It's the ultimate form of surrender, but because of that, it has the ultimate power, right? Okay. I mean, what's more powerful than water? Mm-hmm. It's 60% of our bodies. We can't live without it, right? So that's mental toughness to me. And I'm glad you said that it's not, because I think when people hear mental toughness, they're like, well, your toe hurts, you got to walk on it because turn that pain off in your head. And it's like, not really. It could be more like, my toe hurts, let's change the relationship with hurt if it can't be fixed, That, to me, that's surrender. So maybe be the hurt, right? And that might go over a lot of people's heads, but
I don't know. I mean, I have interviewed 2 ultra marathoners so far in this show, and they talk a lot about that.
That would be great.
And they talk about like that. I love that the way you just said that, which is change the relationship, which is part up because they have to keep running. Like,
oh, dude.
You've got blisters and you're
They're
bleeding.
Gonna love it.
And you still have 100 more miles to go.
I couldn't wrap my head around that.
That is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Right. That is. Delete the word "pretty" in that
That's
stupid
just
sentence.
amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
That's not pretty amazing. That's like full on amazing.
Be amazing.
Yeah, but I like the way you said that about changing the relationship you have with the pain, like just changing the relationship you have with that, and that really to me is very fundamental to mental toughness. And I don't want to steal your answer, but I want to respond to what you said so far because that is something that we haven't been taught, right? Is that's like a thing you can do.
Yeah.
And tell us what you even mean by that. Change the, so say you're a runner, you're in an ultra marathon, you're running 250 miles in like 5 days or something, which is absurd. And you've got blisters, you're bleeding, you're halfway done, okay? What do you even mean, change the relationship? Because that does sound a little bit
Totally.
weird.
So if I was coaching that person, like for that marathon, right, the road up to it, I would just say, there are going to be times where what you just said is going to happen. And it would be ludicrous for you to think you're not going to feel pain because that is inevitable in all things life. Physical, emotional, pain's inevitable, right? Suffering, on the other hand, totally optional. Now, I didn't sign you up for this. I'd be talking to them. I didn't sign you up for the race. Your parents didn't, your dog didn't, nobody did. You did, and you knew that it was a fantastic athletic feat. So when you feel that pain, we need to create a different relationship with it because it can't be ouch.
What's another way of saying create a different relationship with it?
Change the internal response you have when you feel the pain. Because most people wish it different.
Okay.
Like you feel pain, you're like,
this sucks. God,
yeah,
this sucks. I hate
stop.
this. I can't believe this is happening to me right now.
Yeah, and that's conditioning.
Oh my God,
your
how am
brain.
I going to get through this?
You're going to stop. At some point, it's not a matter of if, it's when your body's just going to be like, forget it.
Because you're talking yourself into that. Okay, so then so what do you want to switch it to?
So I would switch it to, right when you feel that pain, just be like, you know what, this is awesome. This is what I came for. It's one way. Another way is every time you feel that blister rub, it's like fire inside you. That's gas, and you're like vroom vroom.
Wow.
You're giving yourself a boost.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, that's my perspective, having never done that specific event. But as a former athlete, business person, you're constantly
you have
doing it.
coached a ton of elite athletes, so you are definitely, you don't have to ask for any credibility here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But yeah,
superstars.
and all these guys, they come back and if they didn't before, they're like, whoa, like I really feel, for me, it's big, it's lactic acid. It's the burn in your muscles when you're in competition. It can be applied to pain like blisters and stuff. But I always say, hey, when you feel that, just let that be comfort. Why does it have to be this burns? Why can't it be like, oh yeah, baby, here it is. It's like when a surfer finally catches that peak, that feeling they get. They're like, ooh, they got their balance, they got everything. When you feel that burn, that should be what you refer to as the gap.
Well, that's pretty hard to do actually. Is when I'm exercising, we'll say, so the easiest exercise you've ever had me do to hate, the easiest to hate.
I know what you're going to say.
Do you? All right, so guess.
Sprinates.
No, oh, that's great. That's actually an even better example.
You always talk about mental.
I wasn't going to go there. I love
Yep.
that. That's so incredible because I did hate those at first, and then it became my favorite thing. It became a project.
This is the perfect example for this.
I wasn't even thinking of that one. Yeah. That's a great call because I actually pulled a hammy one time doing it. I got cankled one time.
You said a gym freaking PR.
But I changed my attitude and I said a gym PR.
a gym PR in a gym of elite athletes.
Okay, so I forgot about that. But the point that I was going to make was that it's all because I completely changed my thinking about it. The example I was going to give you, the exercise, and I don't remember what it's even called, but you will tell me when I explain it to you, is when you we're on the wooden floor, right, and you put the things on your feet so you can slide, but then you have to pull yourself to the end and then go backwards.
Hand walks.
Hand walks, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hated those.
Yeah.
I mean, I hated those. And I would just curse during it. And,
I remember.
And this is really amazing, is that I noticed that when I stopped like hating them, because I was like, this sucks and this just doesn't feel very mentally tough. Like what sucks is the hating it. It's not even the pain.
That's great.
So what I did was I started just saying yes and good. And that has transpired into all of my life. It's actually changed the way I coach. Telling people, especially athletes, is to say yes and good. Just keep saying yes and good. And and my whole relationship with the what are they called?
The hand walks.
Hand walks, whatever. All
Yeah.
the burpees, did it
Yeah.
with burpees, right? And changed everything. So it's that transcends, of course, physical discomfort, right, or athletics or
Totally.
exercising into anything.
Absolutely.
Right? In life, right? So
Absolutely.
we have the ability, but most of us weren't taught that, is to change another way of me articulating what you said, which is change your relationship that you have with the negative thing, is to change your story about it. Just change the way you're storing it in your head, or change the way you're thinking about it.
Totally.
And that is tremendously powerful.
And to tie that back into the marathon analogy that you asked is just as we said, when you feel that you're like, this sucks, this hurts, it's not a matter of if, it's when. To what you just said with the hand walks, it wasn't a matter of if, it was like, well, just when is this going to click into, I love this, like I'm looking forward to this.
No, this is what's getting me to my
So those people will
decision
go the
or
next 100
goal.
miles.
Right.
The other people,
this is
no
part
way.
of it. This is for progress. This is working.
Yeah, to them it's not if, it's when.
The discomfort is the indication that it's working, right?
Exactly.
And that's just an alternative interpretation. So the question is, what's the interpretation that actually serves you? What's the interpretation of any circumstance in life that has you actually be empowered, that has you be inspired, that has you be enthused, that has you be good, that has you be stronger, that has you be more resilient, that has you be happier, that has you be any of the states that actually serve us? And interestingly, all the states that serve us, they feel good.
Weird. Yeah, it's like,
what do you know?
nobody wakes up and says, you know what?
One thing that I
really
wanted
mad.
to mention, and we don't have to get into it at all, but it's important, and I thought of it earlier because I actually didn't even know, and I know you so well, I didn't know, there's actually a couple things I didn't know about you until today, which is, and the one that I'm thinking of first, is that you're in school again.
Yes.
And right, in the Institute of Integrative Nutrition,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know that until you just said that today. And I want to point out to you, for the benefit of the audience, that as long as I've ever known you, you have always been investing in sharpening your saw. Like you're always reading. You're reading interesting stuff too. You're really, you're a physical trainer by trade, but you're so much more than that to
Totally.
me. Really, like I feel like if I introduce you like that, that's actually not accurate enough. It's not false, it's just not all of it. Because you are deeply invested in your spiritual practice, in raising your own consciousness, you read heavy shit.
Oh yeah. Love it.
And you're always sharpening your saw. And I think that is really fundamental to mental toughness and being the best you, is always investing in strengthening yourself, but not because of a neurotic need to, but instead a get to. And that's how you approach it. So I acknowledge you for that.
Thank you. Totally.
Yeah. The other thing that I learned about you today on my internet, and you're one of my best friends in the world, but I never internet searched you.
Right.
I never Googled you. I've never Googled you until today. I Googled
The
you
Google
today.
test.
And you know what I learned about you that happened in 2009?
Oh, I cannot wait. Oh,
What do you got?
my awards?
Yes, dude.
Yeah, you never knew that?
I never knew that.
The plaques were hanging out Pro Edge.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, they're on the wall.
I never saw, so he
Well,
won.
there's so many pictures on Pro Edge because Pro Edge is awesome.
Yeah, but I never saw that particular one. Like I probably saw the one where you were nominated best customer service employee or whatever person at Pro Edge, but I did not see the one where you're also, and this is like a East Valley Tribune Awards, right? So this local, whatever, I guess it's a newspaper.
The city
or
of
whatever it was,
E042.
the city, okay.
Yeah.
So they, but you also won the same year. You won best bartender.
Yeah, I felt a little robbed on my accolades there because I technically should have gotten more, but
Like what else?
well,
Wow.
because okay, so that. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. Let me just tell you how that went down. So Pro Edge was killing that poll. So in my humble, like, competitive opinion, I think that they just gave a couple other people, because I think that Pro Edge should have been, I think it should have been best gym because it had the most votes to my intel. And it's a great publication. I'm just obviously half joking. But bottom line, we should have won more accolades because we were an all-star team then. But
you won. You won the best customer service.
And I won best
trainer,
customer service,
and you also at the same time, you also won the award
for best bartender.
Which
and
I never knew
best
any
night
of
out
that.
too. That same fired up grill, no longer there, but it was the best night out in 2009.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was just that's kind of what you get when you put good people together.
Let's switch it up a little bit here.
Okay.
And you mentioned that you're a single father.
Yeah.
Right. And I would love to hear from you because you're incredibly active on social media.
Yep.
And I love all of your posts are always they can tell they come from a place of service.
That's exactly what I have my Instagram
Right. Whether
for.
it's in nutrition, exercise,
It's
or
a free
parenting.
service. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I've been trying to.
You do a ton of that, and it's beautiful.
I do. Yeah.
And one of the things that I love the most about the posts that you make about parenting is, I'll switch that up a little bit. It's not about parenting. It's actually about Jackson, your son.
Yep.
Is that he's a teacher to you.
Love that. Yeah, he is my best teacher, my greatest teacher.
That's amazing. Okay, so can you
You
talk
want me to lab on that?
Well, yeah, but specifically like this, if you can. Like, what does he teach you about mental toughness?
Man, just the resilience of kids. Him specifically. And everyone's like, "Well, he was young when you guys got divorced," and like, I get that, but kids are intuitive. They definitely understand. Hey, energetically, things aren't going well with mom and dad, and I'm now sleeping here, and now there, and now this. And just seeing him just be like wu-wei, like let's call it wu-wei, just surrendering to that was just like, it's like, okay, cool, like, you can do this, like I can do this, And it was like this, it's almost like a teammate at that point. It was like, wow, kid, like, you're really understanding. And then there would be times when, I would be having like a bad emotional moment. Divorce sucks, unless it doesn't. Unless it doesn't.
Nice.
And he would just come and.
Can we time out? Just hold your thought.
Yeah.
Hold your thought, because I want to slow that down again.
Yep.
Because that's actually important.
Big teaching moment. No, we got you.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, though. And I love
got
you
you.
said that. Because that's you doing the work.
Totally.
Right? So what just happened, right? Whether you're watching this or listening to this, you just witnessed the work.
Yes.
Okay? Because what you did is you listened to yourself articulate something. The language is indicative of your belief, which is marriage sucks. And that's just a sweeping generalization.
Totally.
And as soon as there was not even a full second that passed, and you go, unless it doesn't.
And I didn't do it on purpose.
And I was going to do it. I was going to say it.
I know you were. Yeah.
But you went first. So so you're like, well, that's just a story, and maybe I don't buy it. And I love that. So
Yeah.
this sucks. So I love that phrase, like to follow up whenever I go, oh, God, this sucks. Well, unless it doesn't.
Totally.
Which is opening me up to the possibility of creating a new experience, a new story, and therefore a new experience on whatever it is, whether it's divorce or stubbing your toe or anything in life. Okay,
Totally.
so I love that. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Sorry for the interruption.
You're good. So taking the bookmark out, there would be times where I'd be having a foul mental, emotional moment, and he would come over and just sit there, and to be real deep about it, he just taught me how to be with somebody. It's because he couldn't speak. And it was like, you're just here with me and you're not crying. And it was almost like he's just like, I'm obviously adding his language in, but it's almost like, hey, Dad, like, I know you probably can't put this into words, but I'm just going to sit here with you. And that love is crazy, right? Because like everyone else would try to fix your problem. I was getting annoyed at a lot of times through my divorce process because and God bless them, they're coming from a place of service. I believe that in my heart, but unless you've gone through it, you don't really know that silence is golden. And sometimes you just need to be around positive energy. And that's what Jackson, one of the big lessons he taught me was just how to be and shut up.
That's amazing.
Yeah, totally.
That's amazing to me.
And then another one is...
I love that. Hold on. Hold that.
Sorry,
Please
I'll
hold
skip.
that.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't... First time.
You are cruising so fast through some really solid content here,
slow
brother.
me down.
Yeah.
Be real,
I love that. I mean, you really had me in rapture right there talking about that. Is like not feel, because as a coach, I am tempted often to skip over that, just being with people. My mission, the reason I am a damn coach is because I want people to have their lives on their terms. I want them to be madly in love with their life. So often I'm tempted to just solve. And I think I have a lot to learn from the lesson that Jackson, your son, your almost 4-year-old son, is teaching you, right? Or taught you. I don't know if he's continued to teach that particular lesson, but on simply how to be. Just be with you without needing to fill space, without needing to fill or solve or even address, and just be and like in an unconditionally supportive state.
Totally.
One of the things that, this is so great. So one of the things that I am really, really jacked up about these days, that's really totally modifying, up-leveling the way that I live and coach and speak and write, is vibes.
Totally.
I'm really appreciating the power of vibes on a significantly deeper level now. And you don't need to say anything to create a vibe. Like, so when I came back from A Fest, right, and I leave this on. This is the A Fest band.
I was going to ask you what that is.
I'm leaving it. It's ripping, so it's only going to last a little bit longer. But as long as it lasts, it's a reminder to me of the vibe. And it's actually, their emblem is wings, but it looks like a V, so it's reminding me of the vibe. And when I came away from the first A Fest, and I just attended the second one and had the same exact experience where I feel like I'm battery getting full of good vibes, is that all there is magic. That's all there is in this equation. That's the constant it's a constant that we call, or the constant in this equation that we call life. Magic, it's always happening. The variable is our ability or willingness to slow down from moment to moment, to slow down enough and vibe high enough to co-create with it. And I really believe
that's cool.
I really believe that as beginner humans, as little ones, right?
Yeah,
prior to being
novice,
prior to being educated about our limitations, beginner's mind, right? That's just our automatic way of being.
Totally glad you said that.
And I don't need to say a damn thing. I'm just vibing up, and that is a beautiful reminder. So that is profound to me, and I'm so glad you said that. And I'm just visualizing you and Jackson sitting there together, speechless.
Me crying,
needlessness, and him just being,
totally.
and that vibe affecting you. Not just affecting you,
no,
but
it settled me
you.
down. It taught me, it was great. And beautiful. To go back to that point, I've said this to many people, and like some get it, some don't, but the ones that don't, they'll follow the question up with, well, I mean, how do you know that you just couldn't talk? Like, well, right. Because
you're putting this real spiritual story on your son. You're just such a sinner.
Totally,
you can't even use words yet.
But this is, to tie this into mental toughness, this is kind of what I'm talking about with surrendering and stuff. It's like, well, look, whether I want to believe he was one and couldn't talk, and that was just what I'm like putting this in his pocket, like you taught me this, right. I'm right. If I want to tell him, if I want to believe that he was teaching me a universal lesson, I'm right, right? Where did my belief go? It went with my internal feeling. of what I felt in that moment, and I felt that lesson. So for them to say he didn't teach it to me is...
How would they know? Yeah.
Exactly. How would you know that? Like, I just
I would
put that back.
I understand. I like that, but I also would argue that if there was a device, I don't know that there is, but some kind of device that could measure, like a biofeedback device or something that could measure the effects on you physiologically and emotionally when you felt his unconditional high vibe love, right, without a word spoken, that was profound and measurable, and that
No doubt about it.
And affected you. So
And I felt it.
that is not just a story. That's the argument I would strongly make. So
Totally.
yeah, there was another thing that you were going to say when I interrupted you when I said slow down. Do you remember what it was?
Yeah, it was just, there were three, I was just going to give you my top 3 Jackson lessons of
beautiful.
a
That's
bunch.
beautiful.
I mean,
Right on.
and I got to tell you, like, if you parent what I would consider the right way, it's like you're learning a bunch all the time. But these hard lessons are like the universal lessons is what I'll call them. So one is just be, right?
Being.
The other is not stopping when something seems impossible, and it's not just Jackson. I mean, every kid does it. You've told me an analogy where you've used a kid. It might have even been like one of your nieces or nephews, but it's so true.
Oh yeah, you mean Benny and the car keys and okay,
totally,
that's right.
And it's literally
Not
that.
pausing, not waiting.
And exactly, it's like, so he'll see his eyes on something that he might not even like be allowed to touch, like because it's glass or like it's an artifact, whatever, you know. And
You have a lot of artifacts here?
Totally. We live in a museum.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, many leather-bound books. It smells
Rich mahogany.
Rich mahogany.
We had to go there.
No, but anyway, he'll go to this thing, you know, and it'll be like, it could be the fucking coffee maker, right? Yeah. I want to touch that. No. Come on, like, nope. And he just like, he'll just keep pushing past.
So what's the lesson? What is the lesson?
What's a no? Like, you just keep walking towards it. Someone's gonna.
So blatant defiance of authorities.
Yeah, blatant defiance of authority. Like, push past all no's.
Okay.
The whole Me Too
That's
movement.
not what it is. That's not the lesson. That's not the
Just
lesson.
kidding. No, the lesson is this. The lesson is just because something seems impossible, it doesn't mean it's impossible. Okay. Explore all angles. Like, so and this is when he could start talking, he would say, I just want to push it. Well, okay, because to me, I thought he wanted to touch the hot water. And then to him, he's like, I just want to push the red button. Right. He got what he wanted. Yeah. He just, it's just he removed obstacles. He didn't take the one no, he got curious. Curiosity, okay. I can sum it up like that.
Impossibility. He
taught me how to be curious when something's impossible. Great. Okay? And then the third one is just simply dropping stuff. He can be mentally dropping stuff.
Oh, mentally dropping stuff.
So he could be so disturbed, like crying, like throwing it, you know, kids will be kids. Or he got in trouble, and not more than 10 minutes after he got his lesson, or, you know, it stopped hurting, he's back playing with the kid that hurt him, or he's doing that, and everything's fun, loving. He's back to love, right?
Wow.
Back to love.
Okay.
So he taught me how to drop it and get back to love.
Not holding grudges, not holding resentment.
Yep.
Right?
Totally. He just drops it right there.
Water off a duck's back.
What? Water off a duck's back?
Right?
Yeah, beads off.
Like having selective memory.
So those are the 3 major lessons like that he taught me, but it's a learning process.
That's beautiful. So let's finish up. Let's talk about what's next. What's on your horizon?
So
you mentioned the website.
Yeah. So what I want to is just continue to create in the field of wellness. My grand scope of the website is something that could be utilized with small businesses that can't afford corporate wellness programs like the one I'm in. And 2, it's like a lot of small businesses would love to add that, but it's a financial burden. So if I can offer them a catalog of cool recipes, cool workouts, cool this, they can offer that, and that just improves their work environment, which makes people healthier. It's primary food. And going back to single parenting, I'm big on not giving your kid your stories. I don't know if you picked that up on my Instagram, but it's like the worst thing I can do to Jackson is give him one of my stories about something. And sometimes especially as a single parent that went through a custody battle, that's hard to do sometimes, right? I don't want to give him stories about anything. I read this cool thing when someone told me, or I read it, but they're saying whenever a child's abused by a parent, and just want to be clear, neither one of us abused Jackson, but when you're going through a divorce process, they can feel a level of abuse if you're not just a little mindful of that. But when you're abused by their parent, they don't stop loving the parents abusing them, they stop loving themselves. And that would be the second worst thing I could do to him is give him my story and to enable him to not go to self-love. Because those are the two things that's going to keep you alive, right? In my opinion. Yeah. So going back to that is that I don't. Sorry, I blacked out. But
so even in the absence of the website at the time of this recording, people will still be able to find you. And so tell us, where would the best place for people who are interested in exploring what you just said before you had your blackout, where should they find you?
I won't black out this time. My Instagram is coach_Billy Wood. You can keep up.
I'll put this all in the show notes. But for the people that are listening to the podcast,
will you interrupt me on the show too, like that?
Apparently,
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Sorry, I blacked out again. Coach_Billy Wood, and you can keep up with all the crazy cool stuff I do there from a fitness standpoint. If you love wellness, you'll love what I have coming. But the school I'm in, touch on that real quick. I love what they're about. It's all about bio-individuality. It's creating your life to be awesome through ways of food.
Did you say bio-individuality?
Yeah, okay. I love that term. I'm starting to love it. It's what works for you. It's one person's food might be another's poison. So broccoli's great for me, might give you internal inflammation, in which case you're not going to feel great, right? So it's exploring that and helping people just understand how to listen to their bodies. So a quick Jackson story if I can. He was going through bouts where he was throwing up, like just randomly, and it was like mucus, he'd throw up. And, we're like, what the heck's going on? Took him to the doctor. Start taking things away from his diet. We'll go to figure out that dark chocolate, how good for you is dark chocolate that you've heard of from your nutritionist?
That is excellent.
It's a superfood, right?
Yeah.
Well, Jackson's intolerant to it, softens his esophagus, influx of mucus comes, it goes down his throat and upsets his stomach, so he throws up. So is it a superfood to Jackson? No. So it's through that process, I'm helping him understand his body. So if that makes you feel that way, don't eat that. And that's what I want to help everyone do that. And you can follow that through the website and Instagram.
I do want to reemphasize before we shut her down here that all of your posts are totally educational and informative. And I don't feel like when I'm reading your posts that I'm just reading my friend's social life. That's not it.
Awesome.
It's like I'm actually always being educated by it, so I appreciate that. So that is the place to go, is to Instagram.
Coach
and then
Billy.
when the website is out, and then that'll become obvious. You'll Instagram that. Okay. Well, brother, I appreciate you being here, man. I appreciate you.
Yep.
And
you as well.
Thanks for sharing your wisdom with us.
That's freaking awesome.
Billy, he just can't stop being a comic. Whether it's funny or not, it's just fun that he always has that on the ready, is to bring, and that's, I think I mentioned it in the introduction. I think I did. That he's always, I did at the end, where he like, one of the things I love most about him is the lightness of being that he brings. And yet another thing that I love about Billy that he just demonstrated is, and I can't believe I didn't know this about him until today, is his addiction to growth. What a beautiful addiction. He's just a student, a constant. He's perpetually studying things, all kinds of things. Of course, nutrition and exercise, right? And wellness, consciousness, spirituality, fatherhood. He's remarkable. I'm just so impressed by the way he chooses to show up in life and the way that he interfaces with the world. I hope you enjoyed that. I'll tell you, one of the big moments for me was when he's talking about Jackson. Man, I almost got a little choked up right there, because when he was talking about his boy before he's even able to speak, and like where he's just kind of looking at him, right, and sitting with him, and just being. God, that's so beautiful. It's so powerful, and something I really believe. I mean, I know that I forget that that's even an option, right? When being with people that I love, that we don't have to like fill all the time with jibber jab. We're talking even. We can just be together. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that wonderful? Like, yeah, we have the ability to speak, but we don't always have to use it. And we can simply be, just be. Isn't that spectacular? So thank you, Billy, for that. There are plenty of other great nuggets, and I hope you loved some of them. And I'd love to hear from you. Please, I invite you to respond, with your thoughts, what stood out for you, what was cool, what you dug, or what was meaningful. Please share these. If you find it useful, please share liberally with the people that you love. And until next time, great miracles.